Good morning, grade 4. Today is Wednesday, April 27th. Happy Earth Day. And today we are going to continue our conversation on the Industrial Revolution, talking more specifically about the trade empire and spice trade. So let's tuck in and get into it, shall we? When focusing on the Industrial Revolution, it's very important to recognize that trade is one of the big reasons that riches of the world came to one country. You don't become an empire as a poor country. So trade and dealing in spices was the name of the game back in the day. So let's get into it and talk about these different spices and how trade was that important. Right, so our learning objective for today is to explore how trade in the British Empire helped to build the Industrial Revolution. Your success criteria for today is to define what a colony, imports, and exports are. You should also be able to explain how important raw materials were to Britain and to create a display with the aim of selling goods to Britain, and we will talk about that more later. So why trade? What is the benefit of trade? Well, by 1800s, Britain had control of many important colonies. These were important for trade as they provided raw materials. These are materials made before they're turned into other things. For example, timber, coal, these are raw materials, for the British industry and provide customers to sell British goods to. Now, some of the most important colonies were Canada, the Caribbean, and India. The United States was a huge trade partner before they became independent in 1776. Now, before 1846, Britain obtained exclusive trading rights to these companies. This meant that they could not trade with other countries and could only trade with Britain. In 1846, Britain adopted a policy of free trade, meaning that many exclusive rights ended, but trade was now more open and new opportunities could be found all around the world. Now, before we move on, it's important to know what a colony is. A colony is a region under control of a more powerful nation. All these commonwealths of Britain, Canada, Australia, they were all colonies of Britain. So they were far less powerful than their home country. Also, pause for thought. Queen Elizabeth referred to India as the jewel in the crown. What do you think her attitude towards India was? A jewel in the crown. Is that something good or is that something bad? All right, now it's everybody's favorite time, homework time. Now, in the PPT, you're going to see a chart with the year 1740, 1750 for examples. And then you have exports and you have imports. Exports are the things that you sell out of your country. Imports are things that you bring and buy to bring into your country. For example, Mr. Mo eats lots of cheese and coffee. Most of my cheese and coffee that I buy come from outside China. These are imports, okay? So here is a graph of the growth of imports and exports in the UK. Now, in the folder, you are going to see a worksheet with a lot of data on there. You are going to be plotting this data to see the growth in the empire. So don't forget to use this chart and get into your homework and answer all those questions when you're finished. Make sure you put it in the folder. Now, before the American Revolution, Britain and the United States were a big trade partner. Britain would get lots of raw materials in cotton, sugar, and tobacco. Now, after the American independence, you see a big difference in the amount of money that the trade has brought to England. Now, using your homework and your chart, if you take away these three raw materials, cotton, sugar, and tobacco, you need to figure out how that impacts the trade empire of Britain. Does it hurt them a little bit? Does it hurt them a lot? You should be able to tell by the graph how this impacted the trade colonies. Now, it's important to note that they didn't stop completely trading with the states. However, they're not getting as good a deal as they were getting before. They have to deal with taxation. And also, a big elephant in the room was the trade of slaves. Now, the British stopped dealing in slaves long before the United States did. And Britain didn't like the idea of the Americas using slaves, which created a very big void in the business. And we'll talk about slavery a little later. Now, for extra optional homework, if you have the resources, you can make a poster. Now, your poster, you are the British Empire, and you are going to make a poster for one of the goods that you are looking to get from another country. Now, Mr. Mo has put in the folder a video about spices. Now, this is just one of many things that were being traded at that time. But in the video, it shows how important spices were to the world. Again, not the only one. Cotton. There was rum down in the Caribbean, sugar exports, lots of different types of raw materials around the world. Your poster would be to encourage the trade of that raw material. And again, it is optional. You could take a picture, put it in the folder, get some extra credit points. But that would be phenomenal if you have the time to do it. Right, so let's go over today's class. Our learning objective was to explore how trade and the British Empire helped to build the Industrial Revolution. You should be able to define what colonies, import, and export are. You should be able to explain how important raw materials were to Britain. And as an optional assignment, create a fantastic poster aiming to sell goods to the world. Hope you have a fantastic Earth Day. Hope to see everybody in Thursday's class. We will be showing off all our Earth Day arts and crafts and outfits and hats and jewelry. So be prepared for our theme lesson on Thursday to be about Earth Day. Be ready to show everybody all your fantastic stuff. Have a fantastic day, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.